I'm very grateful for you trying this exploration. And what we're going to do today, effort will not get us what we're looking for. Gentleness and the skillful guidance of your awareness is what gets you what we're looking for today. So in order to be really safe and not even have any chance of next day soreness, let's really go gently. Make things a pleasurable effort, not into any strain or discomfort. That's how we're going to keep it really safe. No need to strain, no need to force anything. That's not the realm that's going to make the change that we're interested in. Because the autopilot is running these tensions that we're going to observe today. It's running that a lot. And how do you get a glimpse of something that's happening mostly automatically, completely outside your awareness? That's the question. So we have to have some finesse in how we do that exploration. If we just use brute force, well, we won't really get a valuable learning. I am very happy to just gift this to every one of you. Those of you who pre-registered and even paid, my gratitude for that. I'm doing this because I love it and I want to share this with you, and I accept your gratitude. Send it via PayPal at eric@inspiresomatics.com, but that's completely unrequired for this class. And also, I am recording the video, but no one will ever see an image of you. I respect your privacy, absolutely. There's people with different skill levels here in the class today. So I invite you to follow my cues. And when it gets too complicated or confusing or challenging or taxing with the awareness to keep concentrating, just sort of find ease in it and go at that level. For the people who are very skilled at moving their bodies, there are some of you here, I'm going to give you something so that you also can push against this experience of sort of not knowing, where the brain can't quite figure things out, because we're trying to teach our brains, our nervous system, to let us out of like how the autopilot is running us all the time. That's what we're going to do. So I invite you to be very intentional in what you do here. That's the essence of it. If all you're doing is lying down and breathing while you hear me talking and explaining all these things, make that very intentional, and that will be your exploration of taking control and just showing. Today we're trying to show the autopilot who's boss, that you're really the sovereign over this system, and the brain is good at running us automatically. How do we not get trapped in that? So we're going to do about 45 minutes of movement, very gentle movement, and afterwards, if you want to stay here, you could maybe share your takeaway or your insight or your aha moment, if you feel like you wanted to share that. All right, so what we're looking at today is a pattern that we're really good at as humans. Even the boldest, bravest are good at the pattern of sort of wanting to disappear, and they need a vacation too. When life is too much and we sort of have this withdrawal response in the face of stress, well, a certain tension pattern tightens in our body. It just says, I'd rather not be here. That's what we're looking at. So if that's running us, I propose we'll look for things to worry about. We'll look for things to feel depressed about, because quite literally, it is depressing us. That low part of the brain is telling the muscles to do that. And we know sort of what that feels like. Now, we can sit up and say, oh, I'm going to sit up straight, but that's false posture. True posture is how the autopilot wants to run you. And you can try and muscle out of these hunched forward postures, but that will always fail, is what my proposal is to you. So if you'd like to start, we're going to have everyone lying down on their backs. If it's comfortable on your back, you could have your legs down the mat. And if it's a little challenging on your back, let's make it easy. Your knees could be up and your feet are resting gently on the floor. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna watch some of you, and I'm going to teach to the people I can see well. And let's go gently. This doesn't have to be complicated. We're looking for something that's hiding. How do you find and get a glimpse of something you haven't been aware of? So as you're lying there, don't try to relax. People are always, oh, now's my chance I get to relax. Don't try to relax. Just let it run however it wants. How does the echo of the stress of the day, how does that echo through your body right now? Just sort of notice that. Is the busyness of the day in you? Is that feeling of the closing up and just wanting to have sort of disappeared from difficult situations? Is that still running in you? Just sort of be in that and observe what's happening. Is there a restlessness in the body? Where, quite simply, the question when you're practicing, and I encourage you to practice some of these things that we do tonight, the simple question to ask yourself when you lie down is, am I at ease? Where am I not at ease? Where you're not at ease, that's where the autopilot is running the show. Okay, what places just give into gravity and it melts right down onto the floor and you're liquid? And where is it not? Where does it not give in? Okay. So the next thing I'm going to give you to look at, see if you can observe it without changing it. No editorializing, as you just observe how your brain likes to breathe your body. Where is it? Where is the path of least resistance for the breath? Because we get so much practice breathing, that's often where we're stuck. The brain says, oh, that place is tight, it's not worth breathing there, and that place is tight, it's no room there to breathe. Where do you have room? And as you're lying there, just begin to, in that same place, as if that breath was the epicenter, that place, just start to make that a little bit bigger and a little bit slower. Make sure you're just taking a full breath, full enough as you go in your own cycles. And as we're going through this, I encourage you to, if anything goes slower than I'm describing it, try not to get ahead of me in the cues. But as you're breathing, as the breathing gets a little bit bigger, where do you run out of space? Where's there constriction? Where does the brain say, oh, I'd like to breathe there, but I can't? I mean, that's anxiety causing when we're running out of room to breathe. So we want to restore that. I propose that the brain is controlling the muscles that are limiting the room. Okay, that's what we're looking at. And today we're going to look at this pattern of tightness in the front of the body that is part of this withdrawal pattern. It's there in all of us, and it runs really, really deep. So we want to honor it. It's an organic genius. We want to honor that it has gotten us through the difficulties of life. It has helped as one of our stress responses. It has helped, and we've gotten through all of the stress of life. It's 100% successful. We want to give a nod of thanks to that tension, the tensions that take over us when we're under stress. But we don't want to be trapped in that. Who wants to be in stress all the time? Okay, but because the brain learns our tension, it ends up running that like a high idle. It gets good at what it does a lot of, and the brain reacts to stress a lot, tightens our body these ways a lot. So if you could bring the knees up and the feet are on the mat, okay, and what we're trying to do is, with this exploration, we're going to look deeper. I invite you to try and find, when does the autopilot want to run away with what you're trying to do? Where does it shift into gear and pull you into these patterns? That's a good way to know how it's been running you. Okay, so I invite you to go into these movements with an intention of control, and just sort of notice, does it run away with you? So imagine someone's there just tapping you on the front of your left shoulder. Notice what happens in your body if you just push that shoulder a little bit up towards the sky. Where does that even start? Where does it start? And keep coming up into it. The shoulder pushes up a little bit, and add to it, sort of pulling that shoulder down through the front of your body toward your belly button. Do you know everything between shoulder and belly button? Close up enough till you sort of know most of it. And hold there and find your breathing. And keep breathing easily as you open. Just let the shoulder slowly come back. Can you control it all the way? Can you go slowly and smoothly enough that you can process the movement? Take your time, all the time that you need. Set down really softly, really softly. Now, we can see that how the autopilot wants to run, because in a way it wants to, once you start going into some of these movements, it says, oh, I know just what we're doing. I'm good at that. I'm going to do it for you. But also, it doesn't want to let you have the reins. It doesn't quite know how to let you relax out of it. So let's look very carefully at the unsmoothness in the slow relax. That's the gold. This time we're going to look very carefully into that unsmoothness. So tune into your breathing, a gentle breath in into that left front of the body. Can you breathe and open just a little bit, maybe arch the back slightly to open the line between left shoulder and belly button, and slowly relax out of that, exhaling maybe passively, and then make that a little more active. Where does it start? Where's your brain good at folding you? Where's it on 100% already? Close it up. Look carefully. Where's it hard to feel along that line? Where's the missing spot? And open slowly as I count down. 10, 9, 8. Look into the skips. What does it feel like at the skip? 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Setting down softly, take all the time that you need. Just come back to your easy breathing. This time I invite you to really make that stress response, by the way, is very symmetrical. So here, when we're doing it one-sided, your brain says, wow, she's really trying to take control, or he's really trying to take control, or they're really trying to take control today. Okay? So that gentle breath in, find some openness, maybe find the line of constriction that doesn't open with the breath in. As you exhale, can you find that place that was limiting your opening? Can you find that place in contraction? Can you sink the ribs and curl the ribs in, sort of create that smallness? Shoulder lifts up and pulls toward belly button. Enough effort that it's a pleasurable effort. Now, let it out in little steps. What's the tiniest step you can let it down, and then pause? And then the next step down and pause. And could you just keep relaxing it one step down? Where is it difficult? Where does the brain not know how to deconstruct that tension pattern? Maybe pause right there and back up into it a little bit and hold. Well, you are in charge of that. You're holding that. That's your choice. You have the reins. What does it take to just relax one step down, and one step down, and one step down? Let the breath come in, the ribs open, the chest opens to allow the shoulder to lower. Okay. One last time. This time, maybe keep your palm is facing, that left hand, the palm is facing down to the floor. And let's keep that palm, even if the arm wants to lift a little bit, that palm will face the floor the whole way. Okay. So if you want, you get that arm to sort of amplify the load that the ribs get to contract, to sort of find these places that are hard to sense. Okay. It helps you be in control. So This time, let's come into the movement in such a small way that you can see, well, what is the seed of the movement? And then how does it germinate in and through your body? So what's the smallest effort you could push that shoulder up toward the sky? Maybe hand almost lifts off the floor. And as you come into that movement of lifting shoulder just a little more in a pleasurable way, pulling shoulder toward belly button, how does that spread from that seed? How does that spread and sort of intertwine through the body? Okay, connect the dots. Look at the space. If you had a tape measure on the inside, what is your mental perception of the distance, the shortness, the smallness? While you're holding that closed, take a breath in without moving. And now look at the space. Breathe as you need to as you open, but look at the space. How does the space change? What is lengthening? Does your brain understand that you have this continuum, this potential to change your shape? Okay, all the way down to rest, just really easy. Come back to your easy breathing. So now just assess, look at the difference between the sides. Do you know one side better than the other? Is one side understandable as space? Does one side seem more real than the other? Is one side more at ease than the other? Okay, just an observation. We're doing an experiment. We're not going in the deepest that's possible, but we're going in and we're looking at these details. So this time, let's look very carefully at the right shoulder. That gentle breath in. And how does your brain begin? Just even before it happens, how does the brain begin to just press that shoulder up 1 millimeter, pushing up? Now, pause there and find your breathing. Can you feel that tension? Because these tensions are running outside our awareness. Now, come up into it a little bit more, and maybe how much would you have to add to that of shoulder pulling toward belly button to begin to even sense the tension in the front of the body? Those are the places that are on all the time. So close those up until that place that's hard to feel, that the tension crosses the threshold of your awareness. Find your breathing, easy breathing, find a place to breathe, small breaths, and then open as I count down from 12, 11, little steps, 10, 9, 8, 7. Look inside. What place is not opening? Just keep going at that pace. Where does it open? Where does the brain not know how to open? Does it open here but not there? All the way down. Is it stiff? Is it creaky? Is it achy? These are all the expressions of how the autopilot holds us. So when you're ready, that gentle breath in, breathing between right shoulder and belly button, find that restriction, what place doesn't open. Exhale, slow. Make the exhale do the movement for you. Can you squeeze the air out of that right side that just pulls that shoulder in toward you? Can you pull the shoulder against the body, just like you just had a really hard day? You just need a hug. Okay. Hold there. Breath in without moving. Opening smoothly. Look at it from the inside.
I have a question.
Yes.
Oh, I can't tell if am I supposed to be raising my shoulder and then pulling it down to the belly button, or just keep the shoulder down and down to the belly button?
I think you could do either. I was thinking raise it a little bit to find the front. We're trying to find the front of the chest, coming all the way back down to rest. And just even now, after a few of these contraction and controlled relaxes, it's a special kind of movement called pandiculation. A yawn is a pandiculation. We're pandiculating into these stress responses and taking control of them, even after just a couple. Well, now what is the difference between the two shoulders? Okay. I'd like you to find the emotion of the of the movement of that position, of that posture. Because the guy who sort of originated somatics, Thomas Hanna, and I understand some of his sources that I wish he would have given a little more credit to, these tightenings of the front or tightenings of the back, they're sort of schematic summaries of our emotions. You know, we have our emotional signatures that the emotions that we fall into. Those are the tension patterns our brains are really good at. Emotion is more than just tension, but tension is how it echoes, and tension is what the brain learns to run. So again, thinking about that right front of the chest, gentle breath in, and on the exhale, sort of maybe just, what would it feel like if you made it like a shrug, if you pulled the shoulder up toward your chin and sink the chest, and maybe add to it, pulling shoulder toward the chest and pull the shoulder toward the belly button. Really make that side feel so small. What is that emotion? Can you find it? You're turning it on. It's just muscle tension that you're interpreting as those feelings. That's what we're feeling. And open slow, just breathe all the way. Can you control it? Can you be present with it? Look carefully. What place is opening? And pause right there, partially down. Back up into it just enough to find what place holds me here. And with skill and finesse, slowly open out of that. Could it just be an act of less and less effort? Could it be easier and easier as you lower down? Life gives us so many opportunities life says, toughen up. You got to be tough to get through life. Well, that comes with lots of problems because tough is tight. So how do we learn to be soft again? That's what these movements do. So this time we're going to do it. We're looking for the emotion of it. We're going to do both shoulders at the same time. Okay. So that breath into the front of the chest, the front of the belly, the front of the body. Maybe you could even have, if you want, you could have palms roll to face up to the sky. On the exhale, just slow it down. Can you make the whole thing intentional? Sinking the chest that pulls the shoulders, that rolls the shoulders in, curling in, sink, feel small. But if the glutes are turning on, that's too much effort. Make it collarbones and bow tie pulling to belly button. Can you find the front? Open smoothly. Could you make it perfectly smooth? That pace that you started out at, could you go that pace all the way? How softly can you set down? Can the fabric touch the floor and your skin rests on the inside of the fabric and the bones rest down on the inside of the skin? By the way, if any of these movements are difficult or confusing for you, sometimes because of the stresses and the slings and arrows and difficulties of life, certain movements and controlling certain parts of our bodies are difficult. And I'm sort of teaching not to the people who maybe very much are in need of private sessions. I'm not really pitching private sessions as much as I'm saying, don't be discouraged if things are confusing. Do what you can and try and follow it and do it with finesse. Look for where it is confusing. Could you interlock your fingers behind your head? Yeah. Okay. Let's go really gentle on the neck. And right now we're going to learn the most important movement in all of somatics, I believe. This is the one to remember. And traditionally it's called arch and curl, but I think that misses the point because I call it arch, curl, and uncurl because the uncurling is where the learning is. So as you take a gentle breath in, could you arch your low back off the floor very gently, just 5% effort, low back arch. And add to that 5% mid back arch. And just a couple percent sort of upper ribs arch, upper thoracic spine arch. And get that all even. Maybe for extra credit, press elbows back into the floor. And lower out of all of that with a lot of control, smooth. Take your time. How do you deconstruct that contraction? How do you get out of that? And when you're done, just come back to your breathing cycle. Okay. So that's the running start. This gentle arch, that long breath in, opening the whole front of the body. Let the front really open, sort of like a yawn. Maybe press elbows back to the floor. How could it be just pleasurable and cat-like? And exhale, lowering down. Can you control that? As you begin to squeeze some air out, elbows come up, forearms almost hug the head, and hands and shoulders lift the head. Have the head pressing back into the hands and just start to curl a little bit. It's not a sit-up. We're not trying to lift, but could you shorten the front and close the front to bring the base of your neck toward your belly button? Pressing head down into the hands and open slowly out of that. What place is opening? Is it smooth? Mm-hmm. Pay attention to where your sternum is, that bone in the front of the chest. And I invite you to look at, in this movement, how does that move through space? Does it pull toward your low back? Does it pull to your belly button? Does it pull to the floor? So here we go. That breath in, that gentle arch. On the exhale, hands lift the heavy head, curling, shoulders closing the ribs, sinking the chest. How does the sternum move through space? How close to the floor can the sternum get? Can you make that a pleasurable yawn of the front? Find your breathing and open slowly as I count down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Take your time, slow, breathing. Look at where it doesn't open. Slowly, the head touches. Shoulders open, elbows open. Easy. Beautiful, beautiful. Just resting. Now, this is brain exercise. You're focusing your awareness, okay? That's what makes the change. Let's come into the movement slowly. I'm going to count down from 7 as you go into the movement, and I'm going to count down from 12 as you come out of the next one. Look carefully where, as you go into this movement, there's sort of a simulation of stress response. Where does the autopilot just say, oh, I'm an Olympic caliber at this? Where does it tighten 100% right away? And just do a nod to it and say, oh, we're going to do just a little bit more of what you're doing. By doing a little bit more than the autopilot, you're in control of it. So here we go. The arch, curl, and uncurl. That gentle breath in, opening. Where does it start? Hands lift the heavy head. What place closes? How does the chest sink? Gentle. Bring the forehead toward the knees a little bit. Just sort of curl up and feel small. How do you move to feel small? Honor that. And open slowly. 12, 11, 10. Breathing. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Softly set down, softly, softly. How does it taper to 0? Could you set down and have it be truly no effort in the front? Okay. Maybe just 1 or 2 more, then, because there's one other thing that we need to do today. We're doing beautifully on time. So that gentle breath in, open the front. What place does not open? Especially look at the side ribs. Does the chest come up to the chin? Okay, is the belly open? Does the belly get big? Exhale, close. Well, what place is good at closing? How does your brain like to fold your body? Not so much a lift. It's not a sit-up. It's a shortening of the front. It's pulling the front closed. Hunch yourself over, but you're in charge of it. Okay. And open in little steps. Little steps, just lower down 3 steps. 1, just 3 tiny steps, not even all the way down. 2 and 3, and pause. And back up 1 step into it to know that effort. And then lower out of that 3 little steps. 1, 2, 3, and pause. Back up into it just enough to know that place. How do you relax out of that? In 3 little steps. 1, 2, 3. And just come up into it one last time. Closing on up easy. Find it. Really, it's like you're pulling the front of your throat down to the body, like you're a turtle. Just find the smallness, even in that little movement. And open very, very slowly. Just make it be less and less effort. But you're absolutely in control of that tension. The autopilot has given up right now. It knows you are the boss. Setting down. Okay. Now, could you have your arms by your side? Just rest there. And look for stress. Don't try and no need to calm yourself down. What is the nature of feeling at ease? It's like it's feeling not at ease. It's like it's something that happens to us. It's so easy to think that. But I propose it's just that autopilot running us. We're running ourselves. We trap ourselves. Just rest there now. Just surrender to gravity. Even a little breath in, and just sink the chest a little bit. Can you pull the chest down to the floor? Can you create that sort of sinking feeling of disappointment or sadness? Can you be in control of that right now? And then slowly come out of that very gentle contraction. Can't sleep at night? 3 a.m., what a perfect time to practice your somatics. That's the best time. When you have all the time you need. No, take the time that you need in your somatics. I recommend short practice sessions, 5 minutes, but just to maybe explore one movement to learn the power of each movement. That arch, curl, and uncurl. When you're in the stress of the day, when you feel sad or bummed out, can you pre-program into your brain, say, oh, I'm going to try that. That's an experiment. I'll just do that 3 times. Eric said to do that. Look now. Can you find worry? Muster up some worry. Some people are expert worriers. Many of us, I am at times. Can you find that sinking feeling of disappointment? Can you find feeling bummed out? Is it further away than it usually is? With a relaxed front. Okay. So now we're going to do something that I've developed to try and take somatics a little bit further. Could you have your arms, your legs could be down the mat if that's comfortable on your back, but also again, it's totally fine to have your knees up. Now, we're going to try pandiculating an emotion. Emotion, I said earlier that emotion and tension go together. So I invite you to just define something simple. I've looked at really big stuff in my life, and if you're that kind of person, try it. I'm not a psychotherapist. It is a video class. You're sort of on your own. But I invite you to just find a minor upset that happened in today or yesterday, where you just sort of maybe lost your cool, or that person sort of bugs me when they do that, or that's irritating, or I've had it with COVID, or whatever the things are. Whatever your signature emotion that came up today, just sort of think about that. Now, what we're interested in is the tension pattern of that emotion, and can you be in control of it? So imagine that you're an actor and you're about to go on stage, and you have to step into the role of it. You have to show that to people. So in stepping into the role, sort of maybe run that script, go through the story of it, say the mantra to yourself that helps you feel that upsetness, whatever that is for you, and build it up until you start to feel the tension of it. And as it's more clear what the tension pattern, where that emotion wants to grab you and take hold of you and do that to you, I invite you to hold that and do that to you and hold those tensions. Look really deep inside. Well, where is it? Just let go of what isn't part of the emotion. Just freeze yourself in that pattern of tension of that emotion. And find a little place to breathe, because usually we're just going through the whole day or half the day or whatever amount of day that you are going through that. Find a little place to breathe while you're still in it. You're in control of it though. Now slowly, look carefully as you back out of that effort. How does it just disappear? Does it turn off like a light switch, or can you slow it down a little bit? A little bit. Maybe once it's gone and you're resting, back up into it a little bit to find it again. What's the least effort you can find it with? Make it really genuine and true for you. That upsetness, that frustration, the sadness or disappointment or whatever that is that you need to make peace with, to know that you're the source of your emotion. And open slowly as I count down. 7, relax out of it. 6, 5, little by little, let it out. 4, 3, 2, 1, breathing. Sort of scan, is any of it running? Just look, is it running? Is it off right now? Okay, we're just going to go into it maybe 1 or 2 more times. So think the thought to sort of generate it in such an authentic way. You're closing and find it deep inside. How much, really look at the torso. The arms maybe are involved, the legs may be involved, but I invite you to look at the torso. How do you turn to stone? How do you become a statue in that emotion, frozen in it? Breathing and open little by little, little by little. What's the most careful you could let it out? What's the place that is the most difficult, or the last place to let go? Where's the autopilot really good at running you? You can even back up into it again. If you need to get hold of it, make sure you're in charge. Hold it gently and open. And just really sort of melt and surrender to gravity. It's gone. And the last one, the last pandiculation of that emotion, we are going to not tell the story. We don't need the story. You know that pattern now. That pattern's clear. Can you put all the pieces together? Are the tensions are they connected, or is it a little bit neck, a little bit ribs, a little bit breathing, a little bit back, a little bit belly? How is that for you? What's that signature emotion? When could you help it? Could you go into it so you would have like a hyper alertness whenever you're in that you'd know it? Find your breathing. Let it out in little tiny steps, little steps. Less and less and less and less, all the way to nothing. And just rest there. Sort of welcome that event in and just observe that event. And does the autopilot pull you into it? Did you give it a lesson about sovereignty, about your autonomy over your system? If the outside world's determining the tension in our body, well, we're really not free. And that's something that Hanna said. That is true. These movements are liberating because it allows us to take responsibility for the tensions in our body. The brain is running it. Now, it happens to be this automatic part of the brain which likes to do its thing. So just rest there and breathe. And notice who you are right now. This is you, and I thank you all very, very much for coming to this class. But the gift really is an experience of you. Can you get to know that this is you on less stress? That stressed out person you see yourself as often, frequently, that's just because your stress response is so good that it's covering you over like a blanket. That underneath is this calm person. I propose that's your true nature. You're actually a calm person. But what we have is a very adaptive brain because you've adapted to stress, and your brain has learned your stress response. It's really good at running it. And find your breathing. Look at what is the ratio of belly breathing to rib breathing, even if you don't direct it. If you just let the autopilot do its thing, are you breathing into the sides of the body? Maybe try a little bit breathing into the left and a couple of breaths. And could you breathe the right ribs out to the right side? And could you breathe into the back? Could you squeeze some air out of the back? Where does your brain like to breathe you right now? And make it a little bit bigger wherever it likes to do it. Is there more room? Is there more ease? Did you create more ease? And I invite you especially to do that movement, arch, curl, and uncurl before bed. If you're a person who wakes up worried in the middle of the night, if you're a person who has feelings of fear and it's coming all the time, even if you're not in a fearful situation, well, I propose that's your tension running. Is your brain trapping you in sadness? Well, before bed, make sure you're out of that pattern. Have the night off. And there we go. That concludes the class. Thank you for looking deeply. What did you notice? What was new that you hadn't noticed before? Well, you did that. You did that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the beauty of it. It's running and we don't even know it. And here's a chance to start to notice. Noticing is the key word with all of this, with this whole exploration. Thank you. Many people have these differences between their sides and they don't even know it. As you begin to notice, yes, there's a whole set of beautiful movements, and I've taken it in my own directions that helps the sides be the same. In a way, they want to be the same. So yes, that noticing is very valuable. I invite you, as you practice these movements, to really get to know the differences. Sort of welcome that in to start, because that's the beginning of setting yourself free from them. If you go to Eric Cooper Somatics on YouTube, there's a movement called the side bend, the classic side bend. That's a beautiful way to start to begin to get to really make peace with the sides. We're all on a healing path. You're on your path of healing. So I invite you to consider that it's teaching. How do you teach the side that needs the learning? So the side that's closed up, it needs some gentle teaching. The way that the brain holds the side closed is that part of the brain is like a toddler. It's very simple. It doesn't know the story. It just says, okay, this is what we do. And how do you learn to give it a gentle lesson? It's a chance for you to teach your brain and hopefully use some of the brain's ability to even rewire after we have a stroke. Things can rewire and reconnect in new ways to hopefully keep restoring control. The tool is your awareness. Learn to teach those places that the brain sort of forgot. It's sort of like walking toward your fears. That's not very much fun. Tiptoeing gently. It's like you're just putting your toe in the cold water. The tension is sensation. So we're putting it together to say, well, that's an icky feeling. That's unpleasant. If you look at it, well, mostly it's just exhausted, tired muscles that feel so horrible. If you go on YouTube, look up Eric Cooper and the word somatics and arch and curl, or arch, curl, and uncurl. I have a video there. I did a long time ago, but it's still pretty good. Practice that movement, that closing, how we react to sadness and grief and fear and all these difficult things. We don't want that to run any more than it needs to. It tightens up the body like a big, like ratchet straps. And then your back turns on to hold open your front. And then the back gets tired, and it's just more and more and more tension. And the local boilings over of the shoulder or the hip or the foot, if you turn the heat under the pan down, well, the pan won't be boiling over. That's the beauty of somatics. Let's look at 80% of this problem is just the tensions of stress that our brain is super good at. Sometimes it's more, people have very asymmetrical tensions for different reasons, but it's hardwired into us, these tensions of stress. So before bed, just remember, curling on up, gentle on the neck, open slow. I like counting down from 12 and practice that a few times. You have the power to make very beautiful changes in these things that are happening. It seems like they're happening to us, but we're doing them to ourselves. I just invite you to look deeper and deeper and deeper. It's hiding between the two things that you know. There's a little gap. How do you refine the method to have the most learning? Still loving, still simple, but looking deeper to find something you've never found before.